In the ongoing lowering of our national limbo bar, I gotta say, Donald Trump has proven himself surprisingly limber for a man with those cankles.
And what's going on. I mean, I really, 1 minute you feel like, oh my gosh, this is going to be, now the landslide's going to start. And then there'll be some other weaselly little, sidestep they do or whatever it is. And, this administration is a rabid dog, and it's turning us upside down. And all, as far as I'm concerned, it's as obvious as the nose on your face.
Stephen Colbert, armed with wit sharper than a sushi chef's knife, unleashes verbal grenades that leave Trump reeling. Then Jim Carrey storms in. A whirlwind of cartoon chaos, bending reality, time, and egos, especially one very orange ego. Two comedic worlds collide. Intellect meets absurdity. Satire meets madness. It's a tag-team roast for the ages, where truth explodes in technicolor brilliance. Grab your popcorn, fasten your seatbelt, and witness comedy's ultimate collision. Colbert's precision versus Carrey's beautiful insanity.
He's achieved two new lows. First, you know how Donald Trump has always sued everyone and everything at all times everywhere? Well, some of those claims were against the Department of Justice, who, during the Biden administration and before, made the fatal mistake of doing their jobs.
Trump is toast. I like that one. Trump is toast. Yeah, man.
And so you just kind of digest the news of the day.
It's an affirmation.
Stephen Colbert is on the warpath again. And this time, the target needs no introduction. Trump. You can almost see Colbert sharpening his wit like a blade, every quip aimed with precision. Somewhere, Trump's likely perfecting his serious face in the mirror, unaware that a satire storm is brewing. When Colbert's humor hurricane hits, no amount of hairspray, ego, or bluster will keep that legendary comb-over standing tall.
Some of his claims are over investigations into his Russia ties and the seizure of hundreds of classified documents from Mar-a-Lago's highly secure guest bathroom. Okay, he didn't like that. He got really mad, so okay. Now, of course, after he became president, all the cases against him were dropped. But that's not enough. The man wants his money, don't make him put his rings on. Specifically, Trump wants the DOJ to pay him $230 million, which, from the sound of this audience, is obviously ridiculous.
It's the kind of comedic collision that leaves audiences breathless, questioning reality's shift. Colbert doesn't bother with subtlety. He wields humor like a scalpel, slicing through ego and absurdity with surgical grace. Nuance is overrated anyway, especially for those hiding behind comb-overs, late-night tweets, and oversized orange-tinted bravado.
I can't look at it.
I'm glad I ate beforehand.
Oh my God, there's so many nipple-like things and actual nipples.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. I mean, no, I was gonna say I love Jim Carrey, but
He criticized capitalism without a conscience. And that's what we have now. We have capitalism without a conscience. He showed the common man being fed through gears of the brutal, dehumanizing industrial age. He took on the American right wing of his day, its worst evils: hatred of immigrants, contempt for the truth, greed, and the abuse of power. We are fighting those same evils today.
Every line lands like a scalpel, cutting through the absurdity of a man who treats policy like a game show and diplomacy like a brand deal. You can almost see Colbert's mind at work. Observe, exaggerate, satirize, repeat. The crowd savors the guilty delight of watching unchecked confidence collapse, one razor-edged punchline at a time.
After 2 terms, what we're 9 months into this, we think it would be impossible for us to be shocked by Donald Trump. But give the man credit. Every so often, he takes the time to attach the electrodes to our nipples. And then it feels like the first time. Case in point, yesterday, as part of his White House ballroom project, he sent out a backhoe to rip off a chunk of the East Wing.
In another dimension of delightful chaos, Jim Carrey storms the scene. If Colbert is a surgeon, Carey is a cartoon hammer. Reality bends in his hands, physics resigns, and faces melt and reform like living art. His voice wobbles as if gravity forgot to apply, and his sheer unpredictability leaves Trump floundering like a toddler in a boardroom. Carey's humor isn't just sharp. It's an acid trip through a hall of mirrors, every reflection orange, exaggerated, and utterly bewildered. Watching him feels like witnessing someone paint a masterpiece while setting off fireworks in the same room. What makes this comedic onslaught so mesmerizing is contrast. Colbert is meticulous, deliberate, a sniper of satire whose jokes land with surgical precision. Carey, in contrast, is chaos incarnate, physical, explosive, and gloriously unrestrained. His comedy a hurricane of energy that devours logic and decorum alike. Yet somehow, their forces meet perfectly in focus, exposing the contradictions, ego, and absurd theater of one man determined to make himself the punchline of history. Trump can't escape either one. Colbert's verbal strikes land before he can process the setup, while Carey's larger-than-life caricatures dominate screens from late-night shows to viral brunch clips. Together, they deliver a 1-2 punch of intellect and insanity, a spectacle so vivid, so relentless that even reality seems to pause, laugh, and take notes.
You can make a bad decision about a candidate. It's not who you are. It doesn't mean you're dumb. It doesn't mean you're different. It doesn't mean, the trouble with what's happening right now is these really negative forces like the Steve Bannons of the world are convincing us that we're separate, that we're not the same country, that there's two countries. There's not two countries. I can break bread with anybody in this country. I love people in this country. I love the heartland of this country.
Every laugh feels like proof that the universe has a sense of humor and a favorite target. Colbert takes aim at Trump's greatest hits, the overconfidence, the exaggeration, the fragile relationship with reality. One moment, he's dissecting a press conference with surgical precision, exposing how a simple policy question mutates into a self-congratulatory monologue. The next, he highlights contradictions so blatant that fact-checkers everywhere exhale in collective exhaustion. His humor isn't cruel. It's incisive, cutting through the noise to reveal truth wrapped in irony. Each joke lands like a scalpel of justice, reminding audiences that sometimes absurdity deserves to be its own punchline. Carey, meanwhile, charges headfirst into the theater of madness. Where Colbert dissects, Carey detonates. He amplifies every quirk until reality itself starts to buckle under the weight of exaggeration. A gesture becomes a slapstick sonata. A tonal shift turns into a full-blown symphony of chaos. His face twists and stretches as though anatomy were optional and gravity negotiable. Watching him is like witnessing a human explosion of satire, brilliant, unpredictable, and completely unrestrained. In Carey's hands, Trump becomes more than a politician. He's a living cartoon, trapped in a surrealist comedy where logic has fled, reason is on vacation, and laughter reigns as the only surviving truth.
Since he won the election, technically as president, he could now, in effect, order the government to pay him. Well, that doesn't seem right. I mean, if you're going to do that, why stop at $230 million? Why not just let him go to Fort Knox, lose the pants, and go Scrooge McDuck into a pile of gold? Just like that. Now,
it's not just the humor, it's the timing. Colbert lands his lines like perfectly thrown darts, each one piercing the bullseye of absurdity with surgical accuracy. His pauses, glances, and inflections elevate mockery into performance art, transforming political critique into poetic precision. Meanwhile, Carey is a human tornado, an unpredictable force of nature spinning through chaos with manic brilliance. He blurs the line between performance and possession, leaving behind a trail of laughter, disbelief, and sheer awe. Separately, they're unstoppable. Together, they form a perfect storm of satire, sharp, relentless, and devastatingly effective. Every viewer feels the electric thrill of intellect and chaos colliding, watching creativity and wit converge on one deserving target. Trump's reactions, those awkward silences, forced smiles, or defensive rants, only amplify the spectacle. You can almost picture him fumbling for a comeback that somehow manages to sound both boastful and bewildered. He doesn't just miss the joke, he becomes it, feeding his own caricature in real time. Each overreaction, each attempt to reclaim control, collapses beneath the dual assault of Colbert's precision and Carey's wild, kinetic energy. Colbert's comedy is a scalpel, sharp, deliberate, and ruthlessly insightful, exposing contradictions with surgical grace. Carey's, by contrast, is a hammer, visceral, explosive, and anarchic in its joy. One dissects reality with logic. The other detonates it with imagination. Together, they leave Trump blinking, baffled, and utterly undone by the very laughter he inspires. Nat.
I just want to express it in a positive way. You know, I mean, I want to turn everything painful into art.
And you react to the pipe bomb. Are you afraid personally ever?
Apparently, I was threatened on Twitter, so I don't know. I didn't see the thing. I heard there was, you know, some severed goat head, and I'll see you soon kind of thing. But, you know,
You will be silent.
you got to speak, man. This is not a time to clam up, you know, and not a time to get frightened. You know, you have to do what you have to do. This is dire.
Colbert can take a single Trump moment and turn it into a masterclass in ridicule. One mispronounced word, a mangled statistic, or a wildly inflated claim becomes fuel for a dozen jokes that slice, dice, and flambe what's left of credibility. He doesn't just highlight the absurd, he magnifies it with surgical precision until it's impossible to look away. Watching him dismantle a press conference feels like witnessing a magician pull endless scarves from a hat. Except every scarf bears a quote so outlandish it defies belief. Meanwhile, Carey thrives in chaos. Where Colbert dissects, Carey transforms. Every twitch, pause, and grandiose gesture becomes a living cartoon. 1 second, Trump's trying to look presidential. The next, Carey's captured him mid-pout, mid-hand flail, mid-meltdown, each moment inflated into surreal brilliance. You can feel Carey's joy as he spins reality into art, twisting the familiar into something wildly unhinged and irresistibly funny. His physicality hits so hard it leaves audiences laughing, gasping, and briefly wondering whether reality has taken a coffee break. Together, Colbert and Carey are an unstoppable force, precision and chaos in perfect sync. Their satire collides like a storm front, and Trump, caught in the blast radius, can only flounder beneath the sheer, merciless timing of their collective mockery. Nat.
We're just, as I said, we're just 9 months into Trump's turn, and he's going Hulk smash on the White House. Last time, it took him at least 4 years to bring a demo crew to the Capitol. This is happening after Trump specifically promised his ballroom construction wouldn't touch the existing White House. Here he is talking about it this summer.
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite place. I love it.
So that was a lie. At this point, should we even believe that this is going to end up being a ballroom? It could just as easily end up being a combination Pizza Hut Taco Bell.
Colbert attacks the logic of Trump's claims, while Carey dismantles the reality of his presence. One operates with intellect, precision, and razor-edged control. The other thrives in chaos, turning every twitch and gesture into a carnival of absurdity. Together, they create a two-pronged masterclass in humiliation. An assault so layered, so inventive, it borders on performance art. Imagine trying to defend yourself while one voice dissects your contradictions with surgical wit, and another reenacts your every move, as if the laws of physics and dignity have simultaneously given up. Colbert's comedy feels like watching a craftsman at his bench, methodically carving away at the veneer of confidence. He exposes the cracks in Trump's armor, the overstatements, contradictions, and self-congratulatory tangents, and amplifies them until the ridiculous becomes undeniable. His humor doesn't just land, it compounds, each joke building upon the last until the entire facade buckles under the weight of its own illogic. This isn't simple ridicule, it's satire as forensic analysis, powered by sarcasm sharp enough to cut through steel and ego alike. Carey, meanwhile, doesn't analyze, he detonates. His humor is pure embodiment, a kinetic explosion of faces, voices, and exaggerated movement. Every smirk, squint, and flailing gesture becomes a surreal caricature, warping Trump into a living cartoon of his own ego. Carey reshapes the scene into a delirious fever dream where comedy and chaos merge. And all the audience can do is watch, laugh, and marvel as reality itself seems to dissolve in the glow of satire.
We are babysat by the television. We're taught how to think by the television. That's the dangerous thing about what's going on right now. There are generations growing up right now who are learning to lie. That lying is okay. That this
kids say fake news.
That you're supposed to hate half the country. You know? And if anything, we've got to get back to a place where we realize.
What's most fascinating is the psychological toll on Trump. He isn't merely mocked, he's dissected. Colbert's jokes slice like surgical scalpels, exposing every flaw, contradiction, and exaggeration with unnerving precision. No slip is too small. Each misstep becomes a case study in absurdity, analyzed, amplified, and laid bare. Carey's physical comedy, in contrast, is merciless. His manic energy leaves no room for dignity or escape. Together, they form a comedic pincer movement so precise and chaotic that even the most inflated ego begins to wobble under the pressure. Consider one of Trump's infamous press conference gaffes. Colbert turns it into an autopsy of logic, breaking down each illogical claim with razor-sharp wit. Carey, meanwhile, transforms the same moment into a surreal operatic performance. That awkward hand gesture? It becomes a 3-minute symphony of exaggerated faces, impossible contortions, and perfectly timed sound effects. Cartoonish, surreal, and hypnotic, his performance amplifies the absurdity to cinematic levels. The result goes beyond laughter. It's revelation. Comedy becomes a mirror, and in its reflection, Trump's carefully constructed persona unravels spectacularly, leaving the audience simultaneously entertained and awed by the precision and chaos of the satire.
From people going, no, you don't believe in anything. It's a cult of personality, blah, 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 meow, meow, meow. But I want to be fair here, okay? There is one thing that MAGA has believed from the beginning, and they still believe it. And that's that there is a secret cabal of top government officials who meet at shadowy dinners to strategize how to hide the sins of wealthy sex traffickers and pedophiles. They do believe that. And for that, I have never criticized them because I'm sure. Have I? I don't think so. Maybe I have. I don't know. Maybe.
Colbert creates clarity through humor. Carey creates chaos through humor, yet both arrive at the same destination, exposing absurdity. Audiences are helplessly captivated. Every joke, exaggeration, and perfectly timed facial distortion pulls viewers deeper into a world where Trump is no longer just a man, but a living character in a wildly satirical narrative. The comedy is relentless, yet the flow from one moment of mockery to the next is seamless, making the chaos feel almost natural, as if reality itself has bent to accommodate entertainment. This isn't mere ridicule. It's a carefully constructed ecosystem of humor designed to illuminate the ridiculousness of a man who has become a lightning rod for satire. The brilliance of Colbert and Carey lies in their contrasting approaches, which converge with devastating precision. Colbert builds tension with razor-sharp commentary, allowing audiences to anticipate each punchline and savor the satisfaction of truth wrapped in sarcasm. Carey, by contrast, obliterates expectation, warping reality through exaggerated expressions, gestures, and timing, turning every moment into a spectacle of surreal comedy. Together, they execute a dual assault, one surgical, one chaotic, that leaves Trump exposed, absurd and utterly compelling as a target, showcasing the unmatched genius of their combined comedic force.
Before we show you the new piece of art. So we explained at the time, there's a lot of reasons why Carey went in this direction. This was before the violence broke out, and it was pretty prescient. There's Trump like a madman roaming, both the White House, which kind of has a shining feel inside in some ways, and the gardens and the Capitol, etc. that cartoon turned out to be foreshadowing in a pretty scary way. And it says, "You're the caretaker, Mr. Trump. You've always."
Every joke Colbert delivers lands with surgical precision, leaving audiences laughing, cringing, and marveling at the sheer audacity. He dissects contradictions, magnifies absurdities, and constructs punchlines that cut like scalpels, exposing flaws so stark they cannot be ignored. One misstatement, one overblown claim, and Colbert's razor-sharp wit transforms it into a lesson in ridicule. Meanwhile, Carey seizes a single gesture, tone, or facial expression and inflates it into something mythically absurd. A simple shrug becomes a three-dimensional performance, twisting reality until Trump's attempts at seriousness evaporate entirely. Carey turns physical comedy into high art, bending time, space, and expectation, creating a playground where exaggeration reigns supreme. The genius of their collaboration lies in the contrast. Colbert meticulously uncovers illogic and irony, building tension with every carefully chosen word, while Carey escalates chaos, turning every movement into a surreal spectacle. Together, they form a cosmic comedy experiment where logic and reality are optional, and the results are devastatingly effective. Trump's reactions, or floundering attempts to respond, only heighten the humor. Colbert exposes, Carey exaggerates, and the audience is caught in a whirlwind of satire, spectacle, and absurdity. Trump stands helpless at the eye of the storm, utterly flabbergasted, as the world watches, laughs, and revels in the relentless, brilliantly orchestrated comedic onslaught.